Hello, Gwenters. It's still Season of the Dryad, and it is a Squirrel Saturday. So I'm bringing you to a new deck. I know there's a lot of fun Scoia'tael decks out there, but I want to bring back an old one. Handboost with Ethylene. We've also got Aglais and Sheldon in here. Then using Isengrim's Council. But here we're using Precision Strike as our leader ability because we are running as much consistency as possible with Mahakam Volunteers and Brocklon Sentinels. So getting some of these awesome thinning plays with Novigradian Justice as well as with the Brocklon Sentinels using the leader ability can help improve our chances of getting the cards to hand that we need in order to maximize the point boost on Aglais and Sheldon's Gags, leading to killer plays later on in the game. So let me show you a little bit about how this works. Probably familiar to many of you if you've seen the prior season's videos, but this deck not nearly as reliant on some of these draws to get perfect boosting going on. The other thing we can do actually is like boost Aglais in round 1, put her back in, and then call her back out using Isengrim's Council, just depending on how many Dryads we've already played. We aren't running Fauve in this one. I just find that she wasn't really helping with some of the consistency. Novigradian Justice is really the card we're looking for, and it's a crime, not a nature card. Here we've got Ethylene. I think these are both very good, but we don't have either of our targets, unfortunately. So we do need to redraw to try to get one of those. Let's go ahead and put back this Nature's Rebuke. I'd like to keep one of each. Mahakam Volunteers, not helpful, but there we go. We get Novigradian Justice, exactly what we wanted. We're going to go ahead and play that down. Call out our Mahakam Volunteers. There we go. Get great thinning going on. And then we can just go ahead and use this enchanted armor anytime we want. I think we'll be waiting to see what exactly our best target is going to be. But we'll save Frixnet and Dunka in the hopes that we can grab out Aglais and or Sheldon at the beginning of next turn. Now, Precision Strike is quite valuable as it is a 5-point removal. So you just go ahead, click down on the enemy unit, get it down to 2 points, play out your Brocklon Sentinel, kill it off, get the other ones out. So here we're running a little bit of a tricky wicket. Our opponent probably doesn't quite know what to think. Go ahead and use this enchanted armor, and I think we're going to put this on Dunka just so she is a little harder to remove for our opponent. Putting her up to 8 total points makes it so she can't be removed by stunning blow all in one go. Instead, she's got to be killed off using something else. Champion's Charge is one possibility. It's going to be interesting to see here what exactly our opponent's going for with Vajrayan. I'm guessing Blood Eagle. It is Blood Eagle. Wait to see what warrior our opponent brings out. On-crate Greatsword is typically a really great play, but I think our opponent here needing to use a Rage of the Sea to keep it alive. They do. Boosting up that unit. Here we'll go ahead and get out a Mahakam Defender. Just boosts himself by 1 every turn that he is boosted. He's got a decent amount of points on there, so I think that should work out for us. Stunning Blow proving a little bit annoying here. But this Greatsword almost tapped out for maximum points. We'll go for Hawker Smuggler, even though it would play best with Aglais or Sheldon. We just need to make some kind of play, and we'll just kind of simmer on this. As far as Dryads go, though, Aglais looks to be the one Dryad we have left, and we have one more Dwarf and Mahakam Defender. I guess 2 more, sorry, with Dwarven Agitator and Defender. And here our opponent has used Donoran Hindar to really thwart our progress. We don't really have any Treants, but I do want to establish a graveyard, so we'll go ahead and use a Nature's Rebuke here. Defender is very good if you have Tempering. We're not running Tempering here. I just don't find it to have amazing value. Bleeding here a little bit annoying. I think we do have 1 Dryad's Crest, but it's not in hand right now. So here I think we're going to take the pass. I think we have a hard time getting back over on top of Skelga, and I don't mind playing a little bit more next round. We got out our thinning. That was basically our goal here. Had we had more cards, we could have done a little bit more with boosting, etc. But unfortunately, we just missed out on both Sheldon and Aglais, something that has happened many times when we tried this hand buff deck. But I found using the plays we've made so far is a pretty effective way to get out some more consistency from this deck. But again, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. There's Sheldon. We do get somebody we can use. So I think we'll plan on using each of these units just to go ahead and get him a boost, except for Frixinit. Mahakam Defender is in hand, so we have another secondary target. Ithleen is like one of the most useless cards going forward. The carryover value is basically all we're looking for here. But we're not quite sure what our opponent's trying to do. They could just be trying to tempo with Gremist. We're going to prevent that with Dunka. She plays out at 7, as you can see. Also gets us our boosts for our hand buffs here. Just want to try to stay on top of our opponent as much as possible. And the more units we play out, the better these targets are going to be. Also makes it so Circle of Life doesn't need to get the death blow to target that 2-point boost. Out comes Harald. I'm a little bit curious as to why our opponent has gone for the Harald here. Pulling out the Ancrate Warrior is a decent move. They do need to use another one of these leader abilities to keep it alive, but no damage is procced. Unfortunately for us, Forest Protector is still in our deck, along with Call of the Forest. So we just really missing out on what typically is an easy deck for draws. We can use Dunka here to clear it off. I think that's actually what we're going to do. We miss out on some of this hand boost, but that's okay. We're able to remove one of our opponent's main engine, I think, that they're planning to use for this match. Herkia losing some of her synergy here. Get out our Hawker Smuggler. Then we can get out Ithilin. Sheldon now going to come down for 3 points of damage. Like to see him get as boosted as possible. I'd like one of these boosts to proc onto Mahakam Defender if at all possible here. We actually can target this Dwarven Agitator with our Isengrim's Council or Aglais, just kind of depends on what we're going for. Here we'll go for Ithilin. Boost up Sheldon even further. Sheldon now being the recipient of a lot of these boosts. If he gets 2 more boosts, he'll be enough to just remove a full Ancrate Greatsword, no questions asked. If our opponent didn't have Herkia, we actually could remove it this next round. Unfortunately, our opponent's still getting some great value from this Herkia. Here, I think we will go for Isengrim's Council. Pull out a Dwarven Agitator. Just get our Sheldon Skaggs boosted. We do get the boost to Mahakam Defender. And Sheldon Skaggs representing a 26-point play for us right now. So wanting to make our opponent play out as many of their great cards as possible. Frixnet does represent pretty good value with this young Dryad and the hand boost. Hopefully hitting Aglais. But we can't choose all the things we want. We are running Shaping Nature in this deck. I think that's probably one of the cards. If I could go back and change, I would. Blood Eagle being an interesting choice here. Moving the Dwarf. Trigby coming out. Likely going on to this Ithilin. Really good point value here coming from our opponent. We are going to lose that Ithilin. Keep Mahakam Defender out. Hjalmar now coming down. I'm guessing to grab at least a 6-point unit to remove this defender. It is just 5 points. Nothing is tall enough to merit a continued use of Sheldon, so we'll go ahead and use him to remove this on-crate greatsword. And here, just using Freixenet to try to get out of this round. Unfortunately, it's a tie. Just got pressed a little too far. Missed just a couple of plays there. But as you saw, ironically, getting this super consistent deck is not enough. I do think I had accidentally tweaked this deck and left one thing when I should have changed it. I think here we definitely do want Fav. And then I think we can actually go ahead and upgrade one of these other units. So I think basically what we're looking for is here, boost a card. Boost a unit. Could actually use like Ale of Ancestors on Aglais as well. Sirsa being another good option we can use here. And then we are making use of pretty much all of these nature cards that we can. I think here we can upgrade one of our cards. And so I think we're going to be targeting one of these Dwarven Agitators. They're decent value, but not amazing. And then adding in a 5-point card. So this is how we make changes on the fly. Dune Canal Guardians are pretty good with the number of nature cards we're running. We had previously been using a Hamadryad, but I found it not to be super useful, which is why that Shaping Nature was still in our deck. But these Dune Canal Guardians make for good blue coin plays. Obviously, great use of that 2-point damage, but the Symbiosis being pretty valuable with how many nature cards we have. Again, this isn't like a pure nature card deck. Here, just trying to go for as much hand boost as possible for some of this good point slam. But also without having to rely on a gourd play and without having to have a ton of special cards in your deck. There are enough units here that we usually can make some good play. As you saw, I mean, we kept pretty good tempo with a Skellige deck. Obviously, we need to play one more card, but we went toe-to-toe with them, missing some of our really good gold cards and still getting some really good value. Arachas Swarm with Kikimor Queen being one of our old favorites. Have to see how that works out for our opponent. Here we are always looking for that crime card, so putting these Mahakam Volunteers, both of them back, and this Brocklon Sentinel. So not the best of luck in terms of our draws again. We do got Aglais to hand, but missing Sheldon, missing Novigradian Justice, missing Fav, missing Ithlin. So we're just gonna have to cope with this as best we can. Here I think the best choice is probably gonna go out for Freixenet, as we do get that that boost here to Aglais. We'll go for another boost to Aglais, maximizing her point value. And readying ourselves to use some of these nature cards to get the Symbiosis procs of these little Treants. Not crazy great value for us. Here our opponent opting to go to remove that Symbiosis, which is a decent move. I think we might be headed into our old favorite natural removal, organic removal, as we have called it. Here we'll just go for Dunka. We do get some good boost here. We don't want to use our leader ability quite yet. Our opponent hasn't really showed any engines, but you know, Predatory Dive being a great choice for our opponent as well. Here, let's go ahead and use Circle of Life. We'll boost up Aglais by 2. Still a net 3-point play, but it ends up being 5 points because a 2-point boost to Aglais. It's actually a 4-point boost to Aglais. We do want to make sure some of these Nature's Rebukes and this Circle of Life do find value. Just depending on what our opponent goes for. Here we might go ahead and grab out Fav just to get this Dryad's Caress out of the deck. Just as some good thinning with Call of the Forest. Nothing really in here that we superiorly need to play, but there is stuff we do want to our hands. Alright, choices have been made. Vigo's muzzle coming out a little bit early for my taste if I was playing as our opponent. Here we do get to establish our graveyard with this Nature's Rebuke, tabling this tree out into a 12-point play if our opponent plays another 5. Vigo's muzzle, for those of you who aren't familiar, lock it into a 5 unit or 5 power or less and take it over to your side. Tainted Ale coming down to threaten. Here I think what we'll go ahead and do, we can only remove a 3-point unit. Let's go ahead and grab out. This is going to do 6 damage to us. So I think here, like I said, we'll just go ahead and bring down a FOV just for the thinning. I think that's going to be our best option. She does get boosted. We grab Dryad's Crest, proc that onto her. She will survive this attack by this 6 damage in total. Let's see if our opponent opts to pair this with any kind of other removal. I've been making a lot of videos, so if you hear anything kind of like weird whirring sounds, my rib cage has been in a lot of pain, so I am giving myself a nice massage. Look into doing that for yourself. Treat yourself. Here our opponent using all of Tainted Ale. I think another natural selection coming down. That is the case. I was anticipating that as a likelihood, and I'm actually not too disappointed in it, to tell the truth. Here we're going to go ahead and attack 3 of these drones. Also call out our Sentinel. Getting decent removal here. Now we do need to play one more card. I think we're going to go ahead and play this Forest Protector into a Circle of Life. Onto Aglais. Again, still representing a 5-point play. Not the maximum value we typically like to see out of Forest Protector, but here our opponent spending a lot of removal. We now have several cards out, making it a little bit difficult for our opponent to deal with. We do only have 1 unit in hand, so here I think we're actually just going to go ahead and use another one of these Circle of Lives, continuing the boost on Aglais. And we don't really know what dwarf we would be getting, so that's a bit of a gamble. Ithleen, though, being the one elf that we have, so she could actually be a good grab for us using Isengrim's Counsel. Opponent here utilizing Manticore Venom to get 3 damage onto 3 different units. Just a really interesting removal deck that they are opting to use. So here, let's go ahead and grab Ithleen. She's getting boosted up several points. Get that boost onto Aglais. Let's see what else our opponent has in store. This Nature's Rebuke would find a total of 7 points of value if our opponent played down a 5-point unit or something similar. Tainted Ale coming in at a hefty 9 provisions in order to do 6 damage. Not a card I would recommend utilizing. Opponent only finding moderate value on that. But here we have an Aglais who is going to represent some massive value. Here we go. We can get this last removal. And here, if you're wondering, we're just playing this out for as long as we can. It looks like our opponent has a lot of stuff they don't really want to spend. And so what we're basically doing here is tightening this down to as short of a future round as possible. Here we're going to go ahead and take the pass. If our opponent takes the pass, they will end up tying. It will not come back to us. They have to make this play in order to stay ahead. So this being actually really good value for us in terms of getting this Glusty Warp out with these leader abilities. And we still retain this Aglais. Again, she is going to represent 16 times 2 as doubling that boosted value all the way up by 32 points above the 4. So she will be a 36-point play. We won't have last say, so we have to be a little bit careful of that. But here, drawing into both Hawker Smugglers with Mahakam Defender. Pretty happy about that, not going to lie. Hoping to get one boost to Mahakam Defender, but as many more boosts as we can get to Aglais, the better. And we still have this Novigradian Justice Mahakam Volunteer play that we can make. Obviously, great tempo play that we can have. Just have to see how much our opponent wants to stay in this round. Our other Hawker Smuggler getting the benefit of that, being the 1 out of 3 cards we didn't want to get that boost. That's alright. Down comes Striga. Here we now kind of have to decide how much we care about maintaining card advantage. I don't know what this card is. It very well could be a Predatory Dive. And for that reason, we're going to go ahead and make one more play here. Just don't want to have to mess around with that. It looks like we will need this Aglais to get out of this round. But it shouldn't be a problem for us. Our opponent now out of cards. Aglais coming down to hefty 38 points, getting us out of this tight round 2. Pushing us deep into round 3 with only 4 cards for us, but our opponent sitting at an unhappy, tidy sum of 3 cards to their hand. We do get Dwarven Agitator. We do get Novigradian Justice. Just need to make sure we don't get any more of these volunteers than possible. While I would prefer to draw into like Sheldon Skaggs here or our other defender, it's not something I want to risk. So we're going to finish redrawing. Go ahead and put out our Dune Canal Guardian as a good blue coin play. We can then get down our Dwarven Agitator and get a couple boosts on our defender. But defender representing only 2 points return. A little bit of an unfortunate loss there, but not the end of the world. Like we've seen before, I think we're just going to have such a great tempo play here. This Novigradian Justice representing the 5 points from Cleaver's Muscle, plus the additional 8 points from these Mahakam Volunteers. Wild Hunt Riders being a decent choice for our opponent, but here Mahakam Defender getting us back up to tie, going to threaten the use of any further dominance by our opponent. Seeing these riders as well as some of these other units. Will be interesting to see what exactly our opponent has in store here. I'm guessing maybe a Bone Talisman. Bone Talisman representing 8 points. We will go up to 11, and then like we showed before, we will have 13 points of play. Karathi Heatwave, decent pull, but not good enough to take this win. Novigradian Justice just representing too many points. And there we go. That's how it's done. I mean, the Karathi Heatwave still finding 9 points of value as that Mahakam Defender would have, or sorry, 8 points of value. Mahakam Defender would have got boosted up to 8. So anyway, look, this deck isn't perfect by any means. You can still get crap draws, but it is as great as I've seen it. I think the reworks to these thinning cards being extraordinarily valuable for some of these decks. Consistent Handboost being one of those. Try this out. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on gwenting.